Have you ever had one of those strange moments where your own world seems to turn against you? Well, today we're diving into something called Jamais vu, that incredibly uncanny feeling when something you know like the back of your hand suddenly feels totally alien.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever done that thing where you look at a super simple everyday word, like house or table or even your own name, and you just stare at it? And after a few seconds, it completely stops looking like a word. It's just a weird collection of squiggles. That little unsettling brain fart, that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Well, guess what? That feeling has a name. Jamais vu. It's French, and it literally means never seen, which is just perfect, isn't it? It's basically a temporary glitch in the brain where something you know so well, a word, a face, even a room in your own house, suddenly feels completely new, like you're seeing it for the very first time. It's a moment of false unfamiliarity. Now, to really get a handle on Jamais vu, I think it helps to put it up against its much more famous cousin. You know the one I'm talking about. Everybody knows déjà vu, right? That spooky feeling that a totally new experience has somehow happened before. Well, jamais vu is literally the mirror image of that. Instead of the new feeling familiar, the familiar feels brand spanking new. And when you actually put them side by side, the difference is crystal clear. So with jamais vu, the feeling is that the familiar has become alien. With déjà vu, the unfamiliar feels familiar. The actual error in your brain is different too. Jamais vu is a failure to recognize something, while déjà vu is a false recognition. And deep down in the brain's wiring, they're totally different glitches. Jamais vu seems to be a disconnect between your brain's memory and processing centers, while déjà vu is more like your memory circuits are just firing a little too much. So, how does this actually show up in our everyday lives? Let's take a look at some of the most common ways people experience this. It usually falls into one of three buckets. The one we started with is the most common. That's word jamais vu, but it can get way more personal and honestly a little weirder. You have face jamais vu, which is that truly bizarre, fleeting moment when you look at a good friend or your mom or your partner and their face just looks like a stranger's. And then there's place jamais vu, when you can walk into your own kitchen and for a second it feels like you've never been there before. And this isn't just some abstract concept. I mean, people talk about this happening all the time. This one report just sums it up perfectly. I kept typing my own name repeatedly, and suddenly it looked like gibberish. That is the absolute essence of it, isn't it? Just the simple act of repetition can take something so incredibly familiar and push it right into the twilight zone. So, what causes these little glitches in an otherwise healthy brain? Well, the triggers are actually super common. Repetition, as we've seen, is a huge one. But so is just plain old cognitive fatigue. When your brain is just fried from concentrating too long. Stress and anxiety can do it too. They just mess with your ability to focus. And of course, a classic culprit for all sorts of brain weirdness, sleep deprivation. It can really throw off the parts of your brain in charge of memory. Okay, so we know what it feels like, and we have an idea of what might trigger it. But what is actually going on inside our heads when this happens? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. It all comes down to a temporary breakdown in communication between a few key players in your brain. You've got the temporal lobes, which are kind of the main hub for memory and recognition. Then, tucked inside there is the hippocampus, which is the part that actually generates that, oh yeah, I know this feeling. And then you have the prefrontal cortex, the big boss, trying to make sense of everything coming in. Jamais vu happens when these parts just aren't talking to each other right for a split second. So here's how it goes down in 3 simple steps. First, you see something familiar, a face, a word, whatever. Step 2, for just a moment, the brain circuits that connect what you're seeing to what you remember, they get out of sync, they misfire. And step 3, this is the crucial part. The familiarity signal that your hippocampus is supposed to send out, it gets lost. It never makes it to your conscious awareness. And so, the thing right in front of you feels totally alien. So, if you boil it all down, that's what jamais vu really is. It's just a fleeting, temporary disconnect between what your memory knows is true and what your perception is telling you in that exact moment. Now, this could just sound like a weird, harmless brain quirk, but it actually opens up some incredibly deep and kind of wild questions about how we experience the world around us. Because this isn't just about a strange sensation. Jamais vu is like a little window. It gives us this rare peek behind the curtain at the incredibly complex machinery that's running our consciousness every single second.
And here's the first big, mind-bending takeaway from all this. Jamais proves that your reality isn't some perfect video feed of the outside world. No, it's an active construction. It's a story that your brain is constantly, actively telling itself, moment by moment. Which leads to this pretty profound realization that comfortable, grounding feeling of familiarity that we rely on for our entire existence, it's not a given. It is a fragile, delicate signal that our brain has to work constantly to maintain. Jamais is simply what happens when that signal drops out, even for just a second. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. If something as certain as your own name or the face of someone you love can instantly become strange and unrecognizable, how much of the world that you walk through every single day is truly as solid and real as it seems?